Jai Good day, children. In this video, we are going to discuss about the types of functions. So out of which out of the 4 different types of functions, we are going to discuss the 2 different types of functions in this particular video. And in the next video, I will be covering the next 2 types of functions. So in this video tutorial, we are going to discuss about the functions with no return type and no arguments, and the second type, that's the function with arguments but no return type. So in the previous video, we have already discussed about the method of declaring a function, the method of defining a function, the method of calling a function, where should definition be, where should declaration be, where should call be. We have discussed clearly about the functions. So now we are going to start with the first type of function, that is a function with no return value and no arguments. When you see the screen, you can clearly find out this program is to find the greatest among 3 numbers. So first we need to declare the function. See the first thing, void is this particular type of function is a function with no return type. That is why the return type is what void here. And similarly, and this function does not even have the parameters or arguments. That is why see in the round brackets you have void. So this type of function is the first type of function, and that is nothing but a function with no return type and no arguments. So we are going to see the example for the first type of function, that is a function with no return type and no arguments. So with this function declaration line, it's clear our function name is greatest and it does not have any return type and it is not even having any parameters or arguments. Now, see the main function. In main, you have the greatest of, you need to call the function name. When calling the function, you make it this way. That's nothing but function name and in the round brackets, the parameters, and end the function call with semicolon. And the function name is greatest, so you have written greatest here. And in the round brackets, there is no parameter, so it is just left blank. Greatest of semicolon. So function call is done. Function call has to be done only inside the main. It's done. And function declaration or prototyping has to be done before main. That is also done. Now let's come to the function definition. The method of defining a function is writing the function return type, the function name, then the arguments. As this is a type of function with no return type, that's void, and no parameters or no arguments, that's again void in the round bracket. But it has a name that's called greatest, and this is a definition, so you should not put a semicolon, whereas you can put semicolon in declaration and call. You have done that. Now, the definition doesn't have semicolon, and the definition has some set of statements that's called the body of the definition or the statements to be executed. Now let's start from the variable declaration. There are 3 variables declared here, and this program is to actually calculate the greatest among 3 numbers, where you get the 3 numbers from the user. So you are getting, see the next cout statement after declaring ABC. So ABC is of integer type. So which means A will be allotted 2 bytes, B is allotted 2 bytes, and C is allotted 2 bytes in the memory. And see, you are getting A, B, C, and from the all the 3 values from the user. A, B, C from the user. Once you get 3 values with the C statement, the next thing is to compare the values, because we need to find out the greatest among 3, right? So we are going to compare the values A, B, and C. See the first case, the if condition, A greater than B. Logical and A greater than C. So when this condition works out, which means when A is greater than B and A is also greater than C, see, and will result in 1 when only both the conditions are true. So and results in true only when both the conditions. So when A is greater than B and A is also greater than C, of course A is going to be the greatest. That is why in the if you have cout as printing A as greatest among the 3 numbers. If A is not greater than B and A is not greater than C, then you need to compare B. You are going for the next condition where you have else if, where you are comparing B with C. See, when you compare B with C, with the previous condition, A is of course not greater than B. So it is enough if you just compare B with C. Because the above condition is clear, A is not greater than B. That is why only when that condition fails, the control of the compiler comes to else if. So previous condition is failed. A is not greater than B. So it is enough if you just compare B with C. So you are comparing B with C. If B is greater, when it's compared with C, of course, the compiler is going to print what? B is greater. B is greater. Else, A is also not greater, B is also not greater. Then what happens? Of course, C has to be greatest among the three numbers. So you have the else statement to print C as greatest among three numbers. And you know, only with the call, the function can execute the statements. So function call is done. That is greatest of function call is done. Now, let's see the output. See the output screen. See the output screen. The compiler is asking you to enter the three numbers. You make the first number as 4 and the second number as 5 and third number as 6. When you run with the conditions if, else if and else, you could find the answer as C is greater, that 6 is greater. So you can also, so this is how you write a program for finding the greatest among three numbers, and this program is to illustrate a function with no return type and no arguments. This program is to illustrate a function with no return type and no arguments. And I would also make a point clear that if you don't even mention void in the round bracket, see in the declaration, the first line, void greatest of just blank, and void greatest of in the definition just blank. But in this, we have just made it as what? Void greatest of void, void greatest of void in declaration definition. If you don't even put void and if you just leave the parameter column completely blank, even then the compiler will run. See, you got the output. It is able to run anyway. Even if you don't write anything, if you don't put void there, if you just leave it blank, it is able to run anyway. See the output, you have got the output. Numbers are 12, 35 and 56, out of which 56 is greater. The program is running because the default return type is void in C++. So even if you don't mention void, it is not going to result in error. By default, the return type is void in C++. Okay, if you don't mention anything. So this is about a program with to illustrate the first type of function, that's a function with no arguments and no return type. Now we are going to see the second type of function. The second type of function, as I told earlier, that's in the beginning of the video. We'll be discussing about two different types. The first type is over. Now we are going to discuss a second type of function, that's nothing but a function with arguments and no return type. A function is having arguments but no return type. So when you see this program, it's clear. We are going to find out the factorial of a number. So first line is the function declaration. Void is the return type because this is a function with no return type, but it has arguments. That is why int is there in the round bracket. Int is there. It is declaration or prototyping. You need to end it with semicolon. And in the call, see, you have fact of 5 because fact is the function name. And you have the parameters because this is a program to illustrate a function with no return type but with the parameters. So you need to write the value of the parameters in the function call. So you are writing it as 5. And come to the function definition. You have int no. Now no is the parameter passed because this is a function with no return type. That's why it's void. Return type is void. And the function with the arguments, that is why you have arguments int no. And the process of finding out the factorial. See, f is equal to 1 and no, when the number is greater than or equal to 1, when the number is greater than or equal to 1, you are going to calculate the factorial and you have a print statement. So to print the factorial of a number, you have a print statement to print the factorial of a number. See, when you run the program, you are able to get, see, the compiler is asking you to enter the number. You are entering the number as 5 and the answer is what? 120. 120 is printed. Factorial of number is what? 120 is printed the answer. You know how to calculate factorial. So factorial is calculated this way. Like if the input number is 5, then the answer will be 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. You could see this portion. 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. That's before the int main. It's actually done there. 5 into 4 into 3 into 2. So it's 120. 120 is the answer. Now let's see how it works actually. The passed value by the function call, come to function call, fact of 5, the value passed is 5. Okay, value passed is 5. So come to definition, no is now 5. No is now 5. And the condition, while condition, when NO is greater than or equal to 1, what is NO? 5. 5 is greater than or equal to 1. Is that true? Yes, it's true. So F is equal to F into NO. F is what initially? 1. Into NO is what now? 5. So 1 into 5. So F is 5 now. And NO is what? NO minus 1. NO is 5. So NO is 4 now. So in the second round, 5 into 4. And then it becomes 5 into 3. Then it becomes 5 into 2. Then it becomes 5 into 1. And when the number is 1, it terminates the loop and print the value of the factorial. That is our factorial value of F. That is our factorial value. That's 120. That is why it's 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. Okay, so this is how a function with arguments but no return type works. Thank you, children. By this, we come to the end of this particular video. And in the next video, we shall discuss the remaining two types of functions. Thank you, children.